There comes a time in life when we stop rushing from one thing to the next, and we finally have a moment to look around. We stand in a home that has held us through decades, through holidays, heartbreaks, quiet mornings, and noisy grandchildren. It is a house full of memories, and also full of things. Some of those things still bring us joy. Others we keep out of habit. And then there are those we have not touched in years, maybe even forgotten were there. If you are anything like me, the idea of sorting through it all can feel like climbing a mountain you did not ask to climb. Where do I start? What do I keep? And the hardest question of all, what if letting go of something means letting go of a part of myself? But here's another way to look at it. What if making space is not about loss, but about love? Love for the life you are living right now. Love for your body, your time, your energy, your peace of mind. You do not have to empty your shelves. You do not have to give up what matters. But maybe, just maybe, there is something beautiful in choosing what stays, with care, with purpose, with gentleness. In this time we share together, I am going to walk beside you through 10 thoughtful ways to make space in your home and in your heart. Not with pressure, not with guilt, but with calm and clarity. And if you feel ready, we will begin right here, right now. Because every inch of space you reclaim is really something else. A quiet gift you give yourself. 1. Start with just one corner. Let me tell you something I've learned, not just as a professional, but as a person who has lived long enough to understand how heavy a lifetime of stuff can feel. When people think about decluttering, they imagine tackling the whole house, the garage, the closets, the attic, the kitchen, all at once. That kind of thinking? It stops most of us before we even begin. But here's a gentler truth. You only need to begin with one corner, one drawer, one surface you see every day. That's all. Maybe it's the table by your favorite chair, where papers tend to pile up, or the bathroom drawer, where old tubes of lotion and Band-Aids have long expired. Choose something small and manageable. Let it be your warm-up. There is no finish line you have to race toward. You're not on anyone else's clock. This is your space, your pace. Emma, a 66-year-old grandmother from Minnesota, told me she used to feel paralyzed by the idea of decluttering. But she made a deal with herself. Just 15 quiet minutes every Sunday. Sometimes she didn't even finish the drawer she started, but over time, she began to feel lighter. Not just her shelves, her spirit. Because when you start with one small corner, something shifts. You're not cleaning, you're choosing. You're reclaiming a bit of calm. And that feeling is contagious. It spreads. So, if it all feels like too much, remember this. You don't need a plan for the whole house. Just a little courage and one spot to begin. What would happen if you cleared one corner today? Not to empty it, but to make room. For ease, for clarity, and maybe even for joy. 2. Make what matters easy to reach. Let me ask you something simple. When you need your favorite mug, your reading glasses, the scissors in the kitchen, do you find yourself bending, stretching, or climbing just to reach them? That may have worked 20 years ago, but now, it's not just inconvenient, it can be unsafe. Our homes should support us, not challenge us. So here's a shift that can make daily life feel smoother, safer, and more thoughtful. Organize your home based on how often you use something, not by size, not by category, not by habit. Keep the things you reach for every day right where your hand naturally goes. Eye level, easy access, no step stools, no straining. If you only use the cake stand once a year, let it live on the high shelf. But the saucepan you use for oatmeal every morning? That deserves front and center. Carlos, a 64-year-old widower from California, told me he used to keep his everyday dishes on a high shelf, simply because that's where they had always been. After he reorganized based on use, he laughed and said, "Now the kitchen feels like it's working with me, not against me." That's the point. This isn't about making things look pretty for a magazine photo. This is about making your home fit your life, the one you're living now, not the one you used to live. So take a look around today. Ask yourself, what do I reach for most? And is it meeting me halfway? Because something as simple as moving a pot to a lower shelf is not just organizing. It's a quiet act of care. 3. Let your doorway feel like a welcome. Think about this. When you walk into your home, what's the first thing you see? For many of us, it's a cluttered pile of shoes, a jumble of mail, coats draped over chairs, keys tossed wherever they happen to land. And over time, that small chaos becomes something we stop noticing. But your entryway matters more than you think. It sets the tone for your home, for your mood, for the moment you return to yourself after being out in the world. Now imagine something different. You open the door and there's space to breathe. Your shoes have a place. Your bag hangs on a sturdy hook. Your keys sit quietly in a small bowl where they always live. Nothing fancy, just calm. Lena, 70 years old, used to trip over shoes every afternoon when she got home from watching her grandkids. Then, one weekend, her daughter helped her add a bench with cubbies and a few wall hooks. Now when I walk in, Lena told me, it feels like the house says, "Welcome back." That's the power of a transition zone. You don't need to renovate. You don't need a decorator. A small bench, a few baskets, a tray for loose items, that's all it takes. Give everything that enters your home a landing place. And in doing so, you give yourself a soft place to land too. Because how we enter a space often shapes how we feel inside it. 4. Look up. You have more space than you think. It's funny how we talk about running out of room. But more often than not, the space we need is already there. We've just never looked high enough to see it. Take a moment. Walk through your home slowly and look up, not at the clutter, but above it. That bare patch of wall above the laundry machines, the blank space behind a door, the narrow stretch above a hallway closet. All of these are opportunities. Quiet, useful spaces just waiting to support you. You do not need new furniture or expensive shelving systems. A simple floating shelf, a few sturdy hooks, a wall-mounted rack, these small changes make a big difference. Courtney, a retired nurse living in a small apartment, shared how she added hooks under her kitchen cabinets for mugs and a magnetic strip for her spice jars. "I didn't need a bigger kitchen," she said. "I just needed to use it differently." Vertical space gives you breathing room without crowding the floor. And that matters more than ever now. Less clutter underfoot means fewer tripping hazards and easier cleaning. A little more freedom to move with confidence. So the next time you feel like your home is overflowing, try this. Stand in one room and look up. Because your walls are not just there to hold art or paint. They can also hold solutions, order, and peace. 5. Give old things a new purpose. Sometimes we think we need to buy more bins, more shelves, more storage. But often, the solution is already in our home, just wearing the wrong hat. There's something deeply satisfying about looking at what you already own and seeing it with new eyes. That old wine rack collecting dust in the corner, it could hold rolled towels in the bathroom. A wooden ladder in the garage. Suddenly, it's a vertical shelf for blankets or books. Even a shoe organizer on the back of a door can become storage for cleaning supplies, craft tools, or snacks in the pantry. Tom, 73, a retired woodworker from Oregon, told me about a picture frame his wife loved but had no glass. Instead of tossing it, he added mesh across the back and turned it into a jewelry display. Now her favorite earrings hang in full view, and it feels like art. There's no need to buy your way to a more organized life. Just pause and ask, what in this house could do something new? Repurposing is not just clever, it's personal. It brings memory and usefulness together. It honors the things that have lived with you by letting them keep living, just in a different way. Because just like us, our belongings sometimes need a second chapter. And it's amazing what they can become with just a little imagination. 6. One in, one out, always in balance. Let me share a simple habit that can quietly transform your home over time. It is not dramatic. It does not require a weekend project, but it works. It's this. Every time something new comes in, let one thing go. That's it. A new sweater? Donate one you haven't worn in years. Buy a new coffee mug? Pass along the chipped one in the back of the cabinet. This gentle practice keeps your space in balance, not by force, but by rhythm. It's not about being strict. It's about being aware of what you choose to carry with you. Jake, 61, had a growing sneaker collection. Each new pair made his closet feel tighter, his mornings more frustrating. He started this one in, one out approach and found something unexpected. It slowed him down, made him more thoughtful. Now, he told me, I buy less, and I enjoy what I have more. That's the beauty of it. You don't have to wait until things get overwhelming. You're simply maintaining harmony, one choice at a time. Like breathing in and breathing out, let this become part of how your home lives with you. Easy, steady, intentional. Because the goal isn't to have less. The goal is to have what truly serves you, and nothing more weighing you down. 7. Free your space and your mind by going digital. Paper has a way of multiplying when we're not looking. A greeting card you meant to reply to. A warranty you thought you might need. Medical forms, receipts, birthday letters, instruction manuals, old photographs. Stacked in drawers, tucked into file folders, layered in boxes marked someday. And yet, so much of that paper goes untouched for years, not because we're careless, but because it feels hard to part with. Some of it holds memories, some of it feels important, and some we just forgot was there. Here's the truth. Paper clutter is one of the heaviest types of clutter, not because of its weight, but because of the questions it brings. Should I keep this? What if I need it? What if I lose the memory attached to it? But you don't have to choose between memory and space. You can have both. By digitizing your documents and keepsakes, you free up room in your home and create a more secure, accessible version of the things that matter. Start small. Use your smartphone and a free app like Adobe Scan or Google Drive to take clear photos of paperwork. You can scan important files, medical records, tax documents, insurance information, and save them in clearly labeled folders. For extra peace of mind, back them up to the cloud or an external hard drive. Now let's talk about the sentimental things. Old cards, drawings from the grandkids, handwritten letters, black and white photographs from another era. These don't have to be thrown away. You can photograph them in high resolution and create digital albums, ones that you can share, protect, and return to anytime without digging through boxes in the attic. Margaret, a 71-year-old retired school principal, used to have 3 overstuffed filing drawers in her guest room. They held decades of papers, some important, most forgotten. With the help of her niece, she spent a few weekends scanning what mattered most. Then she gave away the cabinets and replaced them with a small sewing table. Now, she told me, I have space to create again, not just room in the house, but in my mind. Digitizing doesn't erase the past. It honors it, while making room for the life you're living now. And sometimes, peace begins with an empty drawer. 8. Imagine you're moving, but only to see more clearly. Let's play a little game. Picture yourself moving into a new home. Not because you have to, but because you choose to. Somewhere peaceful, smaller, easier to care for. Maybe it's a quiet cottage with morning sun on the porch or a tidy apartment near your grandchildren. Now imagine you can only take what truly matters. Suddenly, that broken coffee maker in the back of the cabinet? Probably not coming. The third set of mixing bowls? You'll survive without it. The scarves you haven't worn in over a decade? Maybe it's time to let someone else enjoy them. This isn't about pretending you're packing boxes tomorrow. It's about giving yourself fresh eyes, because after years in the same place, we stop seeing what's around us. Things become part of the background, even when they no longer serve us. Margaret, the retired principal we met earlier, told me something powerful. She said, "Once I pictured myself living in that new little house, I knew right away what I'd take and what I wouldn't miss." She wasn't moving, but the clarity that image gave her, it changed everything. So try it. Walk through your home slowly. Hold each item gently in your hand, or simply pause in front of it. Ask yourself, would I take this with me to my next chapter? Does it belong in the life I'm living now? No guilt, no pressure, just curiosity. And if the answer is no, then maybe it's time to thank that item for its place in your story and let it go. Give it a new purpose. Pass it on to someone who truly needs it. This mindset doesn't strip away your memories. It helps you honor them, while also making space for who you are becoming. Because even as we grow older, we're still growing, still changing, still choosing what we carry with us. So if you find yourself overwhelmed, pause and imagine, what would I bring into a simpler, more peaceful life? You might be surprised by how much lighter your home and your heart can feel. 9. Let decluttering become a quiet routine, not a big event. One of the biggest reasons people give up on decluttering is because they try to do too much all at once. They wait for the right weekend, the perfect weather, the extra burst of energy that rarely comes. And then, when the day finally arrives, they spend hours sorting, lifting, deciding, until they feel completely drained and wonder why they started at all. But here's a better way. Let decluttering become a routine, not an event. Something steady, gentle, and built right into the rhythm of your week, just like watering your plants, folding the laundry, or taking a morning walk. You don't need to carve out hours. Start with 10 quiet minutes a day, maybe after your first cup of coffee, or right before bed when the house is still. Pick one drawer, one basket, one shelf. You don't even have to finish it, just begin. Once a week, choose something a little bigger. A cabinet you use often, a corner of the garage, the nightstand in your bedroom. Put on some music if you like. Set a soft timer, then stop when it rings. Whether you're done or not, once a month, go just a little deeper. The guest room closet, the attic, that catch-all drawer in the kitchen. You know the one. The drawer full of batteries, rubber bands, birthday candles, and things you haven't touched in years. Emma, the 66-year-old grandmother from Minnesota we talked about earlier, used to dread decluttering. It felt like an impossible mountain. But now, she calls it her 15-minute reset. Every Sunday afternoon, she lights a candle, sets a gentle alarm, and chooses one space to give her attention. Sometimes she finishes, sometimes she doesn't. But either way, she says, "It brings me peace, not pressure." And that's the key. Decluttering doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be done all at once. What matters is that it becomes part of your life, a habit, a kindness, a quiet form of care. Because when we take care of our space a little at a time, our space begins to take care of us. We breathe easier, move more freely, and slowly, our home becomes more of what we need it to be, a reflection of who we are, not what we've held on to out of habit or hesitation. So don't wait for the perfect moment. Just start where you are. One corner, one drawer, one gentle session at a time. And remember, small steps repeated often become lasting change. 10. Share the journey. Don't go it alone. There's something you might not hear often when it comes to decluttering. You don't have to do it by yourself. Yes, your home is your own. Your memories, your decisions, your pace. But that doesn't mean you have to carry it all alone. In fact, some of the most meaningful moments in this process happen not when you let go of an object, but when you talk about it with someone who knows you, or someone who simply listens without judgment. Invite someone to join you, not just to help with the lifting, but to share the stories along the way. A daughter, a sister, a lifelong friend. You don't need to make it a big event, just an afternoon, a single box, a shelf of keepsakes. One memory at a time. You'll be surprised what comes up. A forgotten photo, a note in your own handwriting, a dress that reminds you of a night you hadn't thought of in years. Decluttering doesn't have to mean saying goodbye. Sometimes it means saying, I remember. Margaret, the retired principal we've heard from, told me her niece came over one weekend to help sort through a storage bin. They didn't finish much, but they laughed. They cried. They made tea. And that bin, which had once felt heavy, became lighter, not because of what they threw away, but because of what they shared. If you don't have someone nearby, there are still ways to make it feel less lonely. Try joining a decluttering challenge online. These simple group efforts offer structure, community, and a sense of encouragement that's easy to forget when you're doing it alone. One popular method is the 30-day minimalism game. On the first day, you let go of one item. On the second, 2 items. By the 30th day, nearly 500 things have been released, not with pressure, but with purpose. Another gentle option is the 12-12-12 rule. Find 12 items to throw away, 12 to donate, and 12 to return to their proper place. It's simple, clear, and satisfying. Or, if your mind feels scattered, try the 1 room a day approach. Just one space, one focus, one feeling of completion. However small. Lisa, 72, told me she and her niece texted each other a photo each day of what they had let go of. At the end of the month, she said, I didn't just clear out closets. I felt connected again, to myself and to someone I love. Because in the end, this isn't only about making space in your home. It's about making room in your life for connection, reflection, and forward movement. Decluttering doesn't have to be a burden. It can be a conversation, a gift, a way back to joy. And sometimes, the thing you really need to hold on to is each other. You've done something meaningful today. You paused. You reflected. You took a quiet moment to think about your space, not as a project, but as a part of your life. You weren't just organizing. You were honoring where you've been and gently making room for where you're going. Because at this stage in life, decluttering isn't really about things. It's about clarity. It's about comfort. It's about choosing what supports the person you are now, not the version of yourself from decades ago. You are still growing, still becoming, still worthy of a home that reflects the calm, the wisdom, and the freedom you've earned. So whether you decluttered a drawer today, or simply began to think differently about what you own, that's enough. That's a beginning. That's a beautiful step forward, and I hope you'll keep going, slowly, kindly, at your own pace. If anything I shared today resonated with you, if a story reminded you of your own, or a small idea helped shift your perspective, I'd truly love to hear from you. Please take a moment to leave a comment below. I read every single one. Your words matter here. Your experience matters here. And if you found comfort, encouragement, or a gentle nudge in this video, I invite you to subscribe to Thoughtful Elders Insight. This space was created for you, for thoughtful, capable adults who still believe in learning, reflecting, and living well. We'll be here next week with more ideas to help you care for your home, your health, and your spirit. Until then, take good care of yourself, because you're not just making space in your home, you're making space for life.